I may be outnumbered here, gloriously so, if I may say. But it's my turn now with this story. Do you give your kids an allowance for doing chores? One parenting blogger says you should not. And it's ignited a debate over whether kids should be paid for helping around the house. In a recent post, she wrote, "The whole concept of giving my kids money when I already buy all their stuff was pretty much expletive deleted. Plus, I was fed up with having a reward system for things I just expect them to do. For instance, you live in my house. Ooh. You make your bed in the morning. You don't get paid for doing so. And if you don't do it, it doesn't mean you don't get your $2. It means you get sent back to your room to do it." Whoa. But there are those who say allowance systems are an effective way of teaching kids responsibility about money and finances. You know, Liz, this sounds like a question for you. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely not. No allowance. You don't pay your kids to do things they should do. She's totally right. You know, I remember my dad, who grew up in the Depression in freezing Canada, was walking home as a little boy, and he saw an elderly poor woman up ahead, and she dropped a $5 bill. Now, at that point, who knows what the Canadian dollar was at that point, but that may as well have been $100.
How about the exchange rate on the Canadian?
My dad's family was so poor. He picked it up, he ran, he gave it back to her, and when he got home, he said to his mother, Mom, I gave back the $5. Isn't that great? And she said, yeah. And he said, you're not going to thank me? And she said, I should thank you for not being a thief? You don't pay your kids to do their stuff around that. That said, I'm a really generous tooth fairy. I mean, I'm friends with the really generous tooth fairy.
I'm impressed you believe in the tooth fairy. I was worried about you for a minute.
So what do you think? Allowances, yes or no?
You know, I'm big in the camp of that. I guess you could call it bribery, but I like to think it's a reward incentive program that I have going on. But it's within reason. You know, we do have a list of chores for the girls, and I expect them to do them well. And I don't over-tip in that sense, but it kind of gives them a sense of responsibility. I was raised like that. A job well done is worth being rewarded.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Harris. I had a very, very small allowance, but I also had a list of chores, and it taught me financial responsibility. And I knew that if I wanted a little bit more allowance to buy more things, I would have to do more chores. Now, my mom didn't want to go around the house handing out money or have everything tied to money, but I thought it was a great way for me to also be frugal, because I knew I only had this much money and I had to work for it. And then I got thrown into the restaurant, and I really had to bust my hump for those bucks.
Found out what a chore is.
That's right.
Jedediah?
You know, Lou, there's incentive in the green, even as a young kid. I mean, I remember my parents used to, have a list of stuff that I could do, and it was always tied to, work was tied to, okay, if you work hard, then you earn money. And I think that's a good thing to instill in kids when they're young, this idea that you got to work hard, there's a list of responsibilities, and there is a reward, because that's how it is in the real world when you grow up. So why not start young with that message?
Are you outnumbered, Liz?
I told you. I knew I'd be outnumbered on this one.
Well, I'm delighted to have the pressure off me.
Just
it seems like